Total War Warhammer does not deserve your pre-orders, at least not this early. After the disastrous release of Total War Rome 2, developer Creative Assembly and publisher Sega have shown that any faith in them to deliver a quality, well-designed product is misplaced. Here are 5 reasons why you should avoid pre-ordering or cancel your pre-order of Total War Warhammer. 1. It will release with bugs. While bugs on PC games are kind of inevitable at this point, Total War games can go above and beyond with how game-ruining their bugs are. At launch, Rome 2 had a number of bugs that ruined the game by preventing you from even playing it. Launch issues, crashes, multiplayer desyncs, they just made the act of experiencing the game a chore sometimes. And even when you got things to run, Rome 2 was clearly not optimized and struggled with low FPS even on good hardware. Oh, and that's not to mention that every time you hit the end turn button, while the engine calculated moves for all of the enemy factions, you got to look at this for 5 minutes. You better watch out, Julius Caesar, because I'm coming for you when Cyprus figures out what they want to do. 2. There's no guarantee that the same old Total War issues are fixed. Total War games have always had problems with their AI, which ranges from spotty to downright broken. Some of the sieges the development team have been showing off look like they're making improvements, which is good because the Total War AI has a history of not handling sieges well, but that still leaves the random battle and campaign map AI in doubt. I mean, what good is decent battlefield AI if the enemy factions do things like constantly attack you with tiny stacks of 3 soldiers that get annihilated like they did in Rome 2? Also, provinces are in the game again, which, I don't hate provinces. They're alright, I guess. But the main issue with provinces is that in Rome 2, the AI doesn't know how to manage them properly. They don't know how to adjust what they're building to account for changes in squalor and food when they lose or gain cities in a province, which means later in the game, they screw over their own cities with dumb decisions that leave them starving and covered in rats and poop. And speaking of province management, 3, we don't have much of an idea of what playing on the campaign map is going to be like. The Total War team has been putting out a good amount of videos to give us a look at the game, but most of those videos focus on sieges and hero units. There's not a lot of information in terms of just general managing your cities. On a turn-by-turn basis, what are your challenges and concerns going to be? What kind of gold flow do you need to support an army? How difficult is happiness going to be to maintain? Is there even squalor or food anymore? This is a significant portion of the game, and it may not be the most glitzy part, but at the moment, I'm sketched out because I don't know what to expect from it. Also, vampire and chaos corruption has me worried. Just how long is corruption going to take to spread? I don't want to be sitting a big army on a city I captured for 50 turns while I wait for my countryside to become appropriately spooky so my skeletons don't riot. That just doesn't sound fun to me. Moving on 4, and this is kind of a personal one for me, not much word yet on multiplayer. I know, it's not the way most people play Total War games, but I love the co-op campaign, especially the one in Shogun 2. I have a lot of really fond memories of spending the entire day conquering Japan with a buddy, sharing strategies, backing up each other's armies, just having a really great 2-player experience. Now, I've seen a comment saying multiplayer in Warhammer will basically be the same as in Attila, which means multiplayer will exist, but it's pretty clear that the developers aren't putting a lot of focus on multiplayer, which in my book is a strike against it. And finally, number 5, Day 1 DLC. Total War Warhammer is offering the Chaos Warrior faction as Day 1 DLC if you pre-order the game. Now, normally this would just be a screed against the scummy practice of carving up a game and selling it piecemeal just to exploit a consumer base to an extreme extent, but there's actually more nuance to this issue. When the Chaos Warriors were announced as Day 1 DLC, Creative Assembly's creative director Mike, as well as their brand director Rob, put out a couple of blog posts explaining the situation. Basically, they only had the budget for 4 races: Empire, Dwarves, Orcs, and Vampire counts. But they wanted to add Chaos as a kind of endgame boss faction you would have to face up against at the end of the game. Publisher Sega told them that wasn't in the budget, so they came up with a solution to add them as a full faction as paid DLC, and use resources gained from the sales of those to fund the boss faction that you get in the base game. Now, with that explanation, I want to say, it's great that these guys are being transparent about the development process. Seriously, kudos to them. Also, it's very clear that the developers want to make their game as awesome as possible. They had a cool idea, and they wanted to make it happen, and their publisher offered them a way. With that out of the way, I really don't agree with their decision. First of all, they had to know that people would react negatively to Chaos Warriors being Day 1 DLC. Day 1 DLC is such a loaded term in the video game industry, and it has a lot of predatory connotations to it. I think if they pushed the Chaos Warriors DLC out by even just a few months, people wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. Second, I don't want to support their decision because I don't want Sega thinking that I'm okay with them throwing day one DLC like this into their games. You vote with your dollars, and if you pre-order Warhammer, the message you're sending to Sega is, I am okay with you cutting content and selling it to me separately for more money. That may not be what's going on here. That's probably not what Creative Assembly intended, but for consumers, the end result is the same. And I suspect that Sega will use Warhammer's pre-order numbers to justify all kinds of exploitative bullshit in the future. I don't want to contribute to it, and if you don't like day one DLC practices, you shouldn't either. Like, at least wait for a reviewer you trust or your favorite YouTuber to get their hands on it and make sure it's okay first before you hit that pre-order button. But that's enough out of me. What do you guys think? If you liked the video, please hit the button. If you want to see more, please subscribe. This has been Serious Time. I'm Scaregoat. Peace out.